seeing the five skandhas to be empty of nature. Form is emptiness. Emptiness also is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, perception, formation, and consciousness are emptiness. Thus, Shariputra, all dharmas are emptiness. There are no characteristics. There is no birth and no cessation. There is no impurity and no purity. There is no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no perception, no formation, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no dharmas, no I, dhatu, up to no mind, dhatu, no dhatu of dharmas, no mind consciousness, dhatu, no ignorance, no end of ignorance, up to no old age and death, no end of old age and death, no suffering, no origin of suffering, no cessation of suffering, no path, no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, since the bodhisattvas have no attainment, they abide by means of prajna and paramita. Since there is no obscuration of mind, there is no fear. They transcend falsity and attain complete nirvana. All the Buddhas of the three times by means of prajna and paramita fully awaken to unsurpassable, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the great mantra of prajna and paramita, the mantra of great insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra that calms all suffering, should be known as truth, since there is no deception. The prajna paramita mantra is said in this way: Teata om gate gate paragate parasangate bodhisoha. Thus Shariputra, the bodhisattva mahasattva, should train in the profound prajna paramita. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva mahasattva, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family. Thus it is, O son of noble family. Thus it is. One should practice the profound prajna paramita, just as you have taught, and all the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra and noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva mahasattva, that whole assembly in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, rejoiced and praised the words of the Blessed One. Gala jo bene jo damba ne ngoshe do jo ngai do do jen ro ba bo lama yi bo jen zi ne zo ngandro zo la ja ze lo zamara da zamara zamara. Agazamara de Janara Zamara Deata Ongate Kate Paragate Parasangate Podiso Baba Ganjazanje Gaiden Bedoje Badoji Mebadoji Shewadoji Dagi Baji Medum Bejo Danje Shenengo Yeso Gerendo Jaje Jose Wada Medo no Bejan Danje Wada Domba Donjim Bonzon Zonyoji Jashi de Janenda de Leo. The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. Holy Lamas High, wrap the sky of your Dharma bodies in massive clouds of knowledge and love, and let them pour upon the earth of your disciples as we are ready. A shower of rain, the teachings deep and wide. Lama Nama Yena Ni Jogo Ara Shenze Yonzen Di Ye Da Zang Me Lo Ye Zemala Sa Ye Yo Yi Ya I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. Hidam Guru Radha Mandala Ram Niradayami. Zanje Jadan Zaye Janam La Janju Badu Dani Jazuji Dagi Junye Jipe Sonam Jula Benje Zanje Rubashu Zanje Jadan Zaye Janam La Janju Badu Dani Jazuji Dagi Junye Jipe Sonam Jula Benje Zanje Rubashu Sanje Jadan Zoji Jadan La Janju Badu Dagi Jazuji Dagi Chunye Jipe Sanan Jidrla Benji Sanje Drupaju. Okay, so last week we left off, I think we read up to stanza 179, and we're today going to start on 180. But really, if we look at the grouping of the text, this begins the enumeration of emptiness, like the different categories or how many emptinesses are there when we look at categorically speaking. So 179 really starts that conversation that Chandrakirti is having. So we'll start at 179. Dame. Begor, Chambudu. Okay. That's so.
대신 나와 하다는 류도 예전이야. 스스로 내가 많이다. 집에 많이 이제 빌어서 주의 라지 매니 거의 저는 또 이제 아시티 아시티 예수는 또 많이 조지도 자단 저 이제다 추나 되자 되지나 조수 라지 매매니 추도 많이 이철 라지 매니 신호도 봐 이노 추나이 매번이 개배 동바지지 시 돈이 있어야 돈이 있지 뭐도 뭐이
축하해요. 네. 비안제 도바이.
돈이 시 돈이 강 돈이 돈도 돈이 뭐 로제지 제버도 소바이
sentient. sentient.
세계 지는 지네네 말로 처리 니시다 스메 매 마타네 매제 수나 챵베니 내가 좀 주셔 수나지 도마트는 가야지 챵베 도마 니도 챵베 도마 니인데 챵베 내가 도시 도시에 뭐가 주요 저는 양한 대바이 되는지 성바지
Ni dun dam dani de dun dani de. This
뭐야
dani de. Okay, this one. The turn the Shiloka Jutsar. Okay, that's good. Hold on 1 second, folks. I want to get some material. It'll be worth it if I can find it. Just give me 1 moment. Okay. All right, I'll have to find it another day. I don't want to waste a lot of time. I know what I'm looking for is right here. All right, so I'm going to just move on for now and just read the text. All right, well, that's what it is. All right, so we'll begin with stanza 179. Again, this section begins to get into the enumerations of emptiness. So it talks first, which Rinpoche explained, about the first enumeration, which is by 2. And then there are the enumerations by 4, and we'll get into that at a future time. And then enumerations by 16. So we see the different divisions that are presented and can be found within this text, beginning with the way to really summarize them into 2 emptinesses, the emptiness of self and the emptiness of persons. So the emptiness of the phenomena, rather. So the emptiness of persons, kansak dame and chui dame. Kansak, so kansak dame is selflessness of person, and chui dame is selflessness of phenomena. So this first stanza says we can really divide it in a really summarized way into those 2, and then those can be brought into 4, and then if we really want to elaborate, there'll be 16. And when we look at the Umagomba Rapsel, we'll see all those elaborations. And then also another aid to this journey may be Jeffrey Hopkins' book, Meditation on Emptiness, which carries a lot of weight and has a lot of divisions, which are helpful. And then a lot of the tenet system texts are helpful as well. So let's get started in reading. The twofold view, the no self of phenomena and persons, was set forth to lead all wanderers to freedom. Our teacher further classified and spoke of it in sundry ways to different kinds of beings. So when we look at the tenet systems, we look at the way that the Buddha taught. The Buddha taught in various scopes, right? So the Buddha taught the Vibhashika system, the Sautrantika system, the Chittamantra system, and the Madhyamaka system. These all taught views of selflessness to some degree. It's argued actually that the Vibhashika school doesn't even teach a no self in 5 of the schools. So there's 18 schools. I think 5 of them might not even teach that no self view. But that would let's leave that up to scholars. So the Buddha taught all these scopes, and ultimately the correct view is the middle way consequence school, the Madhyamika Prasangika view. But all of these views that led up to it were for people of various capacities that needed that specific teaching to be able to move on to the next view. Or needed to eradicate something in those lower views and work with that in order to really end up at the true view of the middle way consequence school of emptiness, which recognizes that all phenomena are not truly established, are not intrinsically existent, and self is part of phenomena. But so they have also these, the reason we have these 2 classifications is because some of the schools do only say there's selflessness of person. And then maybe they say there's selflessness of phenomena, but here's the catch. It's in a specific way. It's only the middle way consequence school that says it's merely a basis that's a suitable basis for a designation of a name. There's dependent origination of the naming and dependent origination of the parts coming together that are suitable basis to be named as blank, right? But there's no inherently existent blank there. It's merely dependently originated. It's merely come into being through naming. and it's named because there's a basis of imputation. That name can take place because there's a basis that came together that dependently originated into something that's suitable to be designated as such. But there's no inherently existent thing that exists in there that carries that designation. So that designation is merely a name, right? That's suitable at that time based on the collection of parts that it's naming. But those collection of parts don't inherently have what it's being named within it. They merely serve conventionally and turn in conventionally and or function conventionally as that thing that we're naming it as. So anyway, so that's basically the meaning. We're going to do this now. Summa, stop. Shh, sit down. Okay. So, and when he taught elaborately at length, he spoke of, I guess Summa doesn't like emptiness. Hold on 1 second. Your phone's making it may not be. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's try. The twofold view, the no self of phenomena and persons, was set forth to lead all wanderers to freedom. And our teacher further classified and spoke of it in sundry ways to different things. And when he spoke elaborately at length, he spoke of 15 kinds of emptiness. When speaking briefly, he expounded 4, and all of them the Mahayana teaches. Since they're very, thus is emptiness, the eye is void of eye, the ear is of ear, the likewise nose of nose, tongue of tongue, and the mind and body are thus defined. So there's no inherently existent body, tongue, nose, eye, etc. They are all void of intrinsic existence. They are merely dependent originations that are nominally designated as those things. Because they are constant and do not disintegrate, the power of vision and the other senses are without inherent existence. This is inner emptiness. According to its very nature, form is void of form. Sound, smell, taste, and touch are also void, and likewise all workings of the mind. That form and so forth have no real existence is classified as emptiness, and that outer and emptiness have no real existence is designated as emptiness out and in. That all things lack inherent existence. This is what the sage described as emptiness, and by the nature of this emptiness, emptiness itself, he said, is also void. This voidness of the so-called void is called emptiness of emptiness. It was set forth to counteract the thought emptiness is something real. Space pervades all worlds, and all the beings and all these worlds contain, and all the boundless thoughts exemplify, is a great immensity in all directions. That space itself is empty of its 10 directions, is the voidness of immensity. Set forth clinging to immensity. Since nirvana is the supreme goal, it is the ultimate beyond all suffering. This is being empty itself, is voidness of the ultimate. So we see the enumerations italicized. If you have this introduction to the middle way text, go through them on your own and connect them and count them and move on from there. I'm not prepared, so I don't want to waste any time trying to do that in front of everyone when everyone here is as intelligent as I am and can clearly take the text and do that. So, and also if you have the Umagomba Rapsel, if you have the Umagomba Rapsel, then you'll see that a lot of the enumerations are in there, and it'll help to understand it better. Yeah, before I forget, I just want to let everybody know we're going to have an upcoming event. I don't know how soon or where or outside. It's just something that's come up. Rinpoche was requested by a small group of Tibetans to give the Drapu Sundrit, which is the of Vajraparni, Hari, and Garuda. So Rinpoche didn't have the text. He's mentioned it over the years a couple of times. And it's very powerful to remove obstacles, remove spirits, remove sickness. It's a very, very popular one that Tibetans sit in on. Even though it's the highest Yoga Tantra blessing, you're allowed to receive the not do self-generation if you haven't received high Tantra initiation. So it will be more of a blessing as far as it goes for the group. Those who have highest Yoga Tantra take it on as a further, but it is just the blessing. It's not the Wong, it's the Jenang. But we now have the text, and Rinpoche gave it to a very small group of people. I felt it was very powerful, and I think it's something that we would all benefit from. So in the future soon, preparations and prayers, and think about it, we'll be doing the Drapo Sunje, which is the, again, Vajrapani, Haryagriva, and Garuda initiation. And it's related to the emanations of Buddha's body, speech, and mind. Yeah, so yeah, we'll just leave it at that for now. And yeah, there's not tons of information, and so careful where you investigate this, because there isn't tons of information on it. It seems, I'm going to just say it directly, the Dorje Shugden Party does this quite a bit. So if you go like Googling it and you YouTube it, just might run into something that I can't authenticate. So because it's somewhat obscure, it's not to Tibetans obscure at all. But maybe to us, some of us, it's quite obscure. We might want to just kind of look at it as Pani. Haryagriva is the wrathful emanation of Chenrezig, and Garuda is a fierce, the king of this, is an emanation, I believe, of Buddha's body, but I'd have to go back and look into this. It's not something I know anything about. I just got into this, and we just got the text, but it's something that I'm willing to kind of try to conquer if everybody's willing to have patience with it and take it as a blessing and not need to know every single detail about it, because it's not something that Rinpoche knows every detail about. He received it back in Lhasa. It's not something that he, you know, it's not his main thing. Or just want to let everybody know the basis of it before, you know, everybody gets excited and starts looking into the different practices and so forth. We're not going to be able to give really any feedback on those practices per se. Just because it's not Rinpoche's qualified to give it. He's received the blessing, and he has highest Yoga Tantra initiations, and he's done the necessary things in order to blessing. So, yeah. So, without further ado, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? The Shana Dorje, the Rinpoche, the Shana Dorje, the Sanjay Goson to Sun Trupa, Tugi Trupa. Yene, the Drapo Sundri Jenang, Sanjay Goson Tuki Trupa. The Shana Dor, the Gemma Gecha shit. Okay. It's fine.
Dasha, she has a question.
Sure. Stasha Trip. Can we just wait 1 minute? I just want to get Rinpoche a drink. He doesn't have one, and he needs to be hydrated right now. Just give me 1 moment, please. Thank you so much. Rinpoche. 네, 단다, 네 커피 좀. 단다. 매단 rar. 단다 좀. 쉐르 사브. 요 말에. That's more on toda. The Pembudu. Okay, Stash, what's up? I'm back.
To Chenna, not really a question, but I just wanted to say today is 17 years since I took my refuge vows from Rinpoche. And I just want to say thank you so much to Rinpoche, to Jeff, and everyone who's been a part of my journey. We're all connected throughout our lives, and there's just no words how much the teachings mean to me. And so thank you. Thank you.
Rinpoche, the lo judun Lama, Cheran the Stasha, Jiangzhou Dumba Nanson, then Kong Judun, Nampi Chu Lobjung Sheson, then Kong Sampa Natsu Jewa Ngadan Jewa Shema Jawa Yure, then Chang Kadrin Chempo, Kong Shera Gason, Chang Kong Shera Pembudu, then Jiangzhou Dumba. The lo judun ama lo judun gewa dan sonan sason tu chena Stasha de la son chena.
Yeah.
He understood clearly. Yeah, it's been a long road. I actually been thinking about history a lot lately, and you know, everything that's gone on over these years and the lessons, and you know, just trying to kind of keep it all in my head just for the future. You know, there's just so much, and I just take so much for granted now, like the levels of renunciation and the levels of practice and the things that you see when you're around a Lama all the time is just kind of can be taken for granted. And it's just been like, I've been with Rinpoche for so many years. It just, you know, the first couple years, it was all surprising and shocking. And I've just been remembering those times a little bit because some of the kind of cast of characters, if you will, from those days again, like Brian's around again. And I'm going to be in touch with Geshe Nikki, Ken Rinpoche. I got his number in India now, and he's with Chungla Rato Rinpoche in Dharamsala. And Chungla Rinpoche is 93 now. And just, you know, he's very soft-spoken, but he's in good health. And I guess Nikki is in Dharamsala. Ken Rinpoche, I should say. He's the abbot of Rato Monastery. So he's Ken Rinpoche. But yeah, he and I will be speaking, and he said to say hello to Rinpoche, and Rinpoche, you know, like that. And just so everybody can keep their prayers, really, I would consider closest friend passed away, Gen Chodak in Tibet. We're not sure what happened. We were speaking with him probably 3 times a week. Last time we called him, days before, like for hours, Rinpoche would speak with him. His attendant said he was having trouble breathing and that he couldn't speak. And it sounds to me like COVID. You know, we can't say that for sure. There's no details that seem to be given of the reason for this abrupt passing. But Gen Chodak did pass away. He stayed in meditation almost an entire week before the white substance count. So he stayed in meditation for a week. And then they cremated the body in the ritual fashion. Very large ceremony. There were, I think, the Gen Choda Sat Gatsi Judun Judru Getru Sacha Mambo Yure. So there are a lot of regions. I think it's 16 or 18 different like areas of Tibet, or I don't know, cities, towns. I don't know. I can't visualize it. I don't know how big it is. It may be little. They all came to pay respects, and yeah, it's been a little bit hard because it was a ritual here, you know, and it was the last elder that Rinpoche had to speak with. There are none left that he has to talk about the trip, you know, from Tibet. So we should think about that too. And also make dedications for Gen Chodak's quick rebirth as, you know, into the most suitable condition to be of benefit, you know. So this was so I think that maybe a few days ago was the cremation. Last Thursday, not one, but the one before that, I believe, in Tibet. So our Friday morning, maybe, I don't know, is when he passed into meditation state. So yeah, when we look at in terms of, you know what, I think there's something else that needs to be said that's really amazing, is that a lot of people don't realize this. We all think you have to have this Lharampa degree, right? You know, it's like level of understanding, and almost give up on ourselves when we don't maybe have like the ability to study these like high lamas that we read about and know about. Gen Chodak couldn't read. A lot of people, he was more of the bodhisattva that helped the monks get the food and go to town, and he was at the books and everything, but he did not debate. He was not, that wasn't his role in this lifetime. And he stayed in meditation for a week. So, to your point, I don't know what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Quality. And that on such a, not a sour note. I mean, this is what we all will have, right? This is death and impermanence. This is, you know, Buddha's no longer here. George Washington's no longer here. This is what happens. This is our, I mean, our best case, right? He's 90, he was 89. Everybody thought he was going to be 100. It's so strange. He was like the healthiest, you know, running around at his age, you know. Yeah, it just wasn't the karma. And we just look at karma conventionally also, I have to say this, that for years, right, all of these other monks were saying Rinpoche needed to be healthy because he couldn't live long. And look at karma. It's about karma, right? It's karma. Whether, you know, we have the karma to keep our teacher here, we have to make those prayers, and whether the teacher is really, really needed still in her mind, or if there's not somewhere more beneficial to be. Because that's what a bodhisattva deal is, right? Is to be of the most benefit. So we just have to make sure that we're producing that need. And I think that we are. But it's karma. I remember it's similar with Dema Locho Rinpoche. He was very big, and they all said, you know, you're not going to be able to blah, blah, blah. And he lived quite a long time. And he would walk around Dharamsala. And, but yeah, it's karma. Karma is really interesting, right? Death and impermanence and karma. And our day may be right now, today. What have we done to make sure we're prepared for that? Because Geshe Chodak was clearly prepared for that. Couldn't read, clearly prepared for that. Anybody else have questions?
Coleman had his hands raised, but it's down. I'm not sure if he still has a question.
Yeah, Kate, this isn't really a question. Yeah, no, I don't have a question anymore. I'm good.
Right on.
Cool. Actually, yeah, I'll ask just out of a whim.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
No,
cool.
that wasn't like a crash landing. That was just like, that's what we study, right?
Yeah.
Like we read Buddhism, and that's what Buddhism says happens. And when it happens, we shouldn't be surprised, right?
Yeah.
We
totally.
shouldn't be like, oh gosh, wow, like we shrunk like yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're just like, that's what happens every moment. Sentient beings
Yeah.
are passing, because that's the nature of our sitch. Our sitch isn't good. And if we want out of the sitch, we got to get rid of truth of suffering and the truth of origin. So we're here, Coleman. What?
Oh, sounds good. So yeah, yesterday I was kind of like, I thought to myself, I was like, every day I'm going to try to say like, this is goodbye. Like every day I'm like, okay, goodbye everyone. This just might be my last day. So I don't know, that's kind of my strategy I kind of developed to to develop just like a little renunciation. And then my other question was just like, when I'm breathing, because I focus on my breathing for the first half of my meditation. I don't know how to explain it, but is there like a way to separate the mind from the body? Is that like, does that make sense? Like, not like focusing on the breathing,
they are
but
separate.
yeah, like I can't seem to just, like when I'm breathing, it's like I'm not it's like forceful. It's like I'm telling myself to breathe, but I'm not just letting myself breathe. And I don't know if you know what that means. Does that make any sense, Jeff?
Okay, tumble. It does. It's distraction, really.
Yeah.
That we're talking about.
Exactly.
Tactile distraction.
Indeed.
And it's gonna have. It's some sort of distraction happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So hold on a sec. Rinpoche the kon let's go. Again, show that Geshe. Kon trewa the nima dakpa lana chikshena tering a sugar. They go yapudo. Okay, so he said it's very good if you can every day wake up with this idea, today may be your last, but then don't attach to day in such a way that's grasping. You know what I mean? If then suddenly it's like, I'm going to live today like it's my last day, then this day has some sort of inherent existence in it that you're grasping at being final. You're grasping at final or one of the last. So you just have to make sure you're careful with that level of meditation and that you're ready to, that thought is a result of a large, like the thought that you're saying, like you wake up in the morning and today may be my last.
Yeah.
That requires to really have, no, but hold on one sec.
Sure.
That is something that becomes a reality that is like, as much as I have to eat breakfast, if you do enough meditation on death and impermanence.
Yeah.
If you do the meditation, the 9-step death meditation with the 3 main points, if you do that over and over again, you realize lifespan's not fixed here, and that the causes for death are many and the causes for life are few. So the real truth is that you're more likely to die, right?
Yeah.
Than not. If you're looking in terms of beings, sentient beings, like living a day, not Coleman, you know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like, we have so much working against us. The chances of us dying are great, right? We get in cars. Yeah. We do so many things that could end our life instantly. Food poisoning, we eat the wrong substance. And God forbid if we experiment, as I have in the past, with substances. I mean, life can end just like that. So the reality that you're saying isn't some, you say, well, it's not real. Well, it really is real.
No,
at any
Jeff,
moment.
Jeff, I mean,
no, hold on.
Okay. Go.
Yeah. At any moment, right? This could be our last. And based on logic, it's likely it could be. It's likely to be, right?
Yeah.
And more likely as we get older based on causes and conditions, of course. But based on how many things could kill us today, we should think we need to do something at this very moment to practice Dharma because, life could unexpectedly end in 10 minutes, right?
Right.
With Gen Chodak, with this story that we're telling. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Okay. So, but just remember not to grasp at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what so what I'm saying is like, when I say like, this could be my last day, it's like, I don't have any like high expectation, or I don't really even have any expectation about like my spiritual level, or I'm just like, it's kind of like a playful thing. It's just like, okay, I might say goodbye today. Life was good, but if I don't say goodbye today, then I live another day. It's not like ego, like a self-grasping or ego thing. It's just like, oh, it's kind of like a levity, you know what I mean? Like kind of lightheartedness. I don't,
Can't
you know,
hurt.
I'm not taking it. Yeah, exactly. But the breathing
But
thing,
don't-
though, back to, like the breathing thing, like it's like you were talking about, it's like a distraction. It's like I want it to become natural, but it's just frustrating because I'm always like forcing myself to like breathe when it's kind of hard to describe. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Going back to the last thing, just
Yeah.
don't mistake apathy for a realization of death and impermanence. You know, like, oh, whatever, you know, today, whatever happens, happens. Because that attitude does not prepare you for death. That doesn't, when that actually happens, people who say that panic because
like, oh, no.
you weren't really prepared. It wasn't really cool if you died today, and the foundation's not really there. So just be
Gotta
careful.
be careful. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's all. So
Okay.
the Rinpoche, kon shiwa de, kon ugon gonjaudu. Then it can sabudu, the kon sem selpio mari, gangisene de mambo sanlodan. Then the dan supo dan kona sanlodan tugumare. Lapcha iribe. Kona, mipa chi, kali kabudu. The yanjergon, gari pembudu.
No, also 사지고는 저로 로마.
Then the ugon, the trankaja pembudu.
Yeah, Buddhist.
Okay. So Rinpoche said that you can use other objects of observation than the wind. So maybe, you know,
A mantra.
well, no, he's saying visualizing a stable, fixed deity, you know, Tara or Buddha Shakyamuni. If for some reason the tactile, the wind, you know, so that was the first advice that was interesting.
Okay.
Took me a second to absorb why he said it, but I get it. So you could just move on. And then secondly, I asked him about it. When you look in Liberation in the palm of your hand, it speaks about a technique to just try to harness things in a little bit, where as you exhale, you would count, right, in your mind.
Yeah.
And try to really only focus on the breath number, like it's breath and it's landing on a number. It's breath and it's landing on a number. The meditation's something to that effect. I'd like to see a few translations of that actual meditation, because there's a number and there's a breath and you're trying to hold those together. And Bunga Rinpoche says that most people can't even harness the mind, like they get through one Omani Pemi Hum and they've forgotten the Omani by the Pemi Hum part, you know, because the mind is so distracted. So this technique is taught in Liberation, where you count the breath and the breath is attached to this number. And every time you start to think of something other than the breath or the number it lands on, you dump the meditation and you start it from scratch at counting again. As months go by, you'll find you get to higher numbers without having to dump the meditation because of distraction.
So you mean, like, for example, like, you just count, like, let's say for my first session, I get to 50, right? Like, do I count 1, 2, 3, exhale, like exhaling, do I count? Then inhaling?
No, it's something like this. You got to read in the text. You got to read in the text, but it's something like, there's a lot of teachings on it, but it's something like 1, 2. Now I already thought about how am I doing it? How's my presentation of the breathing going? I literally just thought about that. So now I'd have to start over.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like get it? That is not, now this is not an way to harness the mind. This is not a path that leads to Buddhahood. So people can get stuck in breathing because it feels good, and then you can get higher and higher numbers, and you'll eventually be able to focus very, very much on that.
Right.
But just remember that the goal is very multifaceted. The pathway to the goal is the multifaceted pathway.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. That was a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's
Rinpoche.
courtesy of a long 20-day teaching that Pabunka Rinpoche gave. And Rinpoche's teacher, Trijung Rinpoche, wrote it all down and then made it into, I don't know what he did, but he made it very beautiful. And Trijung was an incredible scholar. Pabunka was a great Lamrim scholar, was not a Geshe Lharampa, but was considered by, the Dalai Lama to be a Lamrim king. But then Trijung, who was a crazy scholar, came through, and because he took accurate notes, almost like word for word of the 20-day teaching, and then made it into the liberation in the palm of your hand. And Rinpoche actually has the transmission of that from Trijung. So I really want to get that. And it's like 700 pages, it's so large. It's a lot to ask, but he received it from Trijung, who wrote it.
Okay. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jeff.
so check that text out. And don't be afraid to look at Pabunka Rinpoche's stuff. Separate the Shugden stuff and just put that in a corner and understand that Pabunka was a Lamrim king. And just don't practice Shugden. That's it.
Okay.
Just I'm so over all of that crazy mayhem, silly stuff. There were so many great lamas that did that. And then the Dalai Lama realized it wasn't good for the culture, wasn't good for the Buddhism, wasn't good for the people, and stopped it. And they stopped it. And then some people, just to make a political statement, keep it going because they don't have anything better to do. That's it. That's the cusp. That's it. It's the crux.
All right.
That's what
Thank
I've
you.
learned over this last 25 years of dealing with this spirit that flies around that's either a hungry ghost or got burned up by the fifth Dalai Lama. I just don't even care,
All right, bro. Thank you.
That was my controversy for the day.
Indeed. All right.
All right. Have any other questions? Let's do the concluding mandala offering and dedication prayer. And let's make special aspirations for Gen Chodak. And he's very realized, and someone who can control those sorts of things is probably controlling his or her next life. But, we can only go by ordinary appearances and what we know. We can't prove anything. So we have to act as if and make those prayers. And they will ultimately help us to gather merit and to connect with teachers that are real bodhisattvas, real teachers who do so much for the Dharma. It's just incredible what Geshe Chodak's been able to do in Tibet. They're rebuilding monasteries, and they're just doing things that are like in Tibet, you mean? So he was really skillful, and people are worried right now about who's going to fill that skill set, right? You worry about who's going to be the next scholar, right? They're worried who's going to fill that skill set that makes the Dharma flourish in Tibet, because he was so skilled at it. So anyway, we all have our role, right? The fundamental ground is scented with incense and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as Buddha land, and may all sentient beings enjoy this pure realm. I dedicate whatever virtues I have collected for the benefit of the teachings and of all sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drakpa to shine forever. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, precious Guru. I dedicate all this virtue to emulate the knowledge of the hero Manjushri, and likewise Samantabhadra as well, with whatever dedication is praised as supreme by all the conquerors, reversed 3 times. I also dedicate all my roots of virtue for the sake of auspicious deeds. In that pure land surrounded by snowy mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. All powerful Avalokiteshvara, Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay until samsara's end. I pray for the long life of the precious Khensur Wandak, upholder of scriptural and realizational doctrines, spiritual friend who trained extensively in the 5 philosophical texts with exceptional wisdom and perseverance. Suji Rinpoche Gutsi Shapi Denala. And just as a note to everybody, Rinpoche's results were awesome. So, you know, we're the machine is tuned, you know, the body machine is as tuned as it can be. So now we rely on our karma, right? You know, that's the thing that I came to terms with like recently, that there's nothing more I can, you know, I'm trying, like, there's got to be more. No, there's not. There's not more that can be done. There's no more, you know, but it's just fortunate we all have this opportunity to continue to hear these teachings, to get these transmissions in the presence of a live, you know, realization of the Four Truths, in the presence of, you know, real renunciation, the presence of real bodhicitta, so we can see and remember that there, you know, well, we can't say it isn't true, or that these things can't produce realizations, because we see it. It's right there. It's just incredible. And Rinpoche is very, very bonded with the dogs now. I mean, they're like, he's like laying on the couch with Suma now, and she's like laying on him, and it's very cute. So when we got to do that initiation, there were only 5 people there, by the way, 5 Tibetans. There were, I think, truck drivers, and they wanted it to remove obstacles, you know what I mean, for the road. And I don't know what the exact reason was, but we did it at Chatfield Hollow. It was quite nice. And there were some auspicious signs that happened during the initiation. There was I mean, a couple of us saw it, so I'm not trying to be mystical and weird, but I guess when this initiation takes place, there's some connection to like getting rid of nagas, like naga spirits, and getting rid of negativity, and the, you know, woods and things like that. So when he was doing the initiation, all of a sudden this tree broke right behind him, and there was like no one there. And then all this wind, when he first started blowing, wind never blew again, and all the pine needles came down on him like it was raining, like for like 1 minute, and then nothing has happened. So, all right, the wind blew, and maybe a tree broke because there was an animal I didn't see, but it was pretty amazing. And Rinpoche said that, oh no, that's great, sign that the initiation was working, because, you know, it always happens something when we do this initiation, or it's been done. They hear weird noises, and animals make strange sounds, and trees break, and wind blows. And so, not that I'm setting up like a big expectation. So, all right, that's everything. We're good. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you all. There's nothing I think that we need to talk about. So, happy Sunday, and yeah. Thank you. Get your mumbo here. Why can't I figure out how to stop this?